This weekend at the Nürburgring was supposed to be about one thing: Max Verstappen taking his next step to his 24 hours debut in May. Instead, it became one of the most dramatic and ultimately one of the most heartbreaking motorsport weekends in racing history. Grid penalties, red flags, a fatal crash that stopped everything, a minute of silence, and then racing again this morning. I want to walk you through the whole story, what happened, why it matters, and what it means going into the 24 hours in May. Let's start at the beginning. Saturday morning, the qualifying for NLS 4, the first of two races making up the 24 hours qualifiers weekend. 127 cars entered. It's a sunny morning, Verstappen and Lucas Auer sharing the number 3 Mercedes. This was meant to be Verstappen's real benchmark lap in the preparations for the 24 hours. Then, within 20 minutes of the start of the session, a red flag. A heavy crash involving an Aston Martin Vantage from Valkmos Motorsports near Adenauer Forst. The barriers were damaged and the session was put on hold. When it resumed, I was at a time of 8 minutes 13.012, good enough for P6. That was the team was hoping for, with pole going to the number 3 BMW of David Jahn. But it got worse. After qualifying, the stewards summoned the team for investigation. During the session, Auer had made contact with a Porsche Cayman on Hohe 8, an inside move on a multi-class car that he misjudged. The verdict, a 3-place grid penalty, so P6 became P9. This again before the race had even started. The Nürburgring does not make things easy. Saturday afternoon, 5:30 p.m. local time, the NLS 4 starts. It's the first qualifier race. 25 minutes in, lap 3 at the exit of Klostertal, 2 BMWs, 2 Porsche, a Toyota and a Porsche 911, cars from completely different classes all colliding at the same moment. The race was immediately red flagged and emergency services arrived. The broadcast was put on a hold. At 8 p.m. local time, the organizers held a press conference. The official statement. Juha Miettinen, 66 years old, a racing enthusiast racing on the Nordschleife for over 20 years. One of hundreds of drivers who come to the Nordschleife every year because they love the circuit. The race on Saturday evening was cancelled. No further competition on that day. It was the first fatality during a race on the Nordschleife since June 2013, when Wolf Sylvester lost his life. Motorsports is something we love, but weekends like this are a reminder what it actually asks of the people who take part. Sunday morning, the question was, would this race weekend even continue? The organizers confirmed it would. In memory of Juha Miettinen, a minute's silence before the start of Sunday's race held at 1 p.m. local time. Sunday qualifying started at 8:15, 15 minutes delay because of heavy overnight rain that had left the track damp. Verstappen, still with Auer's co-driver, started from P32 in the initial session due to the wet conditions. But then top qualifying, the single lap shootout where every GT3 car gets 2 uninterrupted push laps, completely free of any traffic. Lucas Auer had put in a strong lap, P5 in top qualifying. Pole position went to Thierry Vermeulen in the Kondo Ferrari, a time of 8 minutes 10 seconds, 0.275, 1/1000th of a second ahead of David Jahn. The race itself is still running now as I film this. Verstappen and Auer are still on track. This is live motorsport at the green hell, raw, unpredictable, and now carrying the weight of what happened yesterday. So I'm filming this while the race is actually still happening. Right now in hour 2 of NLS 5, Verstappen is not anywhere near the front, and here's why. The problems already started in qualifying this morning due to the heavy rain overnight that left the track completely wet. The session started 15 minutes late. And Verstappen car in those wet conditions only managed to qualify P32. Not because the car is slow, but because the track was drying fast and those who went later got the benefit of a better surface. Then top qualifying, Auer drove instead of Verstappen and delivered P5. Solid. Pole position went to Thierry Vermeulen in the Conde Ferrari. The race started at 1 p.m. local time after 1 minute of silence for Juha Miettinen. And almost immediately, Verstappen's team found itself battling not just the competition, but the chaos that the Nordschleife brings. Starting from midfield, after wet qualifying, the team has been working the way through the traffic in a 37-strong GT3 field. That's the reality of endurance racing here. You don't just race the car around you, you manage 100 plus slower cars from other classes, timing, strategy, and whatever the Nordschleife throws at you. And here's something that happened live while I was watching the stream. In hour 2, the team came in for an unscheduled pit stop. They were changing the front splitter, a piece of the front aerodynamic bodywork. That costs a huge amount of time. In a 4-hour race, an unexpected bodywork stop can drop you multiple positions instantly. Now, this is exactly the kind of thing that happens in endurance racing, and that doesn't happen in Formula 1. In Formula 1, your car is perfect from factory. In a GT3 race on the Nordschleife especially, with 127 other cars on the same 25 kilometers of road, contact might happen. Curbs are damaging things and you adapt, you fix, you continue. And continuing is the point. This isn't a retirement, the car is still racing, but it shows what the 24 hours actually demand. It's not about who goes the fastest, it's about who survives 24 hours of exactly this. This is not the dominant performance we saw at NLS2 in March, and that's actually fine. This is quite the point. This weekend was never about winning, it was about learning. Again, as NLS2. Learning what it feels like to start from deep in the field, to navigate traffic in changing conditions, to build a mental map of the Nordschleife under race pressure. 4 weeks before the 24 hours. 4 weeks before 24 hours of exactly this. The 24 hours of Nürburgring is not won in the first hour, it's survived. And this weekend, messy, challenging and overshadowed by a tragedy, is exactly the preparation that matters. I want to step back for a second and say what I think that this weekend actually means. For Verstappen specifically, this was not a smooth preparation run. P9 in the grid from a penalty, a race that never happened, Sunday qualifying in wet conditions starting from P32. These are conditions that make the Nordschleife what it is. But here is the thing. This is exactly why the 24 hours matter. The Nordschleife doesn't care about your name, it doesn't care about your budget or how many Formula 1 titles you've won. It tests everybody equally. It punishes mistakes and it rewards preparation and patience. And from what I've seen this weekend, everybody is learning, including Verstappen's team. Every penalty, every red flag, every wet track qualifying session is information. 4 weeks before the 24 hours, this is exactly the right time to learn it and to perfect it. For the Nordschleife itself, this weekend is a reminder of what this place demands. It's 25 kilometers of unforgiving tarmac through the Eifel Mountains, over 100 corners and elevation changes of 300 meters. And cars from weekend drivers to factory-supported GT3 teams all sharing the same piece of road. This combination is what makes it extraordinary. It also is what makes it dangerous. Both things are true at the same time. And if you haven't seen this from my previous videos, I will be there for the 24 hours of Nürburgring in May, trackside. And this weekend has made me feel the weight of what that means. 4 weeks to go until the 24 hours of Nürburgring, May 14 to May 17. Verstappen will be there with Auer, Gugnon and Juncadella, the full team, the full distance, 24 hours on the green hell. After everything that's happened this season, the Formula 1 frustration, the NLS2 disqualification, the private test, the Lambiase news, and now the Qualifiers weekend, the 24 hours is the event that everything has been pointing towards. I will be there. This video will come. And one last thing before I go. I want to take a moment to acknowledge Juha Miettinen. He came to the Nürburgring this weekend because he loved motorsports. He was 66 years old and he was still racing. This is very impressive. There is something to be said for that. We will all remember him.